High quality here. Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and you are watching the Dice Tower live Q&A. We're glad you're with us today. As always with these live Q&As, I'll be taking questions. There are two ways to ask questions. The first, for the first half of this video, is by going to the link that's in the description for Q&A and going there and voting on the question. You can go there and ask your own question, or you can vote other people's questions up, and I'll answer questions from that for about the first half of me answering questions. For the second half, I will just answer questions straight from YouTube, but not until I decide to start doing those. So if you ask them early, they will get lost in the ether. So anyhow, welcome to a new week. We are now fully in the month of May, which May is almost halfway through the year in some degrees, but yet it feels like the year is just starting. This is where we're getting ready for the convention season about to hit us. We just got back from Cool Mini or Not convention and from the F2Z, Tabletop Gaming Day, and now we got UK Gaming Expo and Origins right around the corner, and then Dice Tower Con and Gen Con. And just, yeah. Lots of different things happening, but we're here to talk about all sorts of different things. If you're looking for the code for to get into Q&A, if you can't get it directly, the code is always DTQNA and then the date. So today is it would be 050916. So DTQNA 050916. Anyhow, let's get started with the questions here. The first question is, please tell us the story of being carjacked while driving a church bus, which is what I knew people would ask because I said I would talk about it. I'm surprised I didn't bring that up before because it's a good story, right? Just to be carjacked in general. It's not as exciting as it sounds. My wife and I drove a 16-passenger van. It wasn't a bus. 16-passenger van where I picked up kids for Sunday school on Sunday morning. And when I just left the van unlocked. You shouldn't leave vans unlocked, apparently, but I left it unlocked because I like to jump in and get going. So we drove to church, jumped in the van, but what we did not know was that the night before, a couple guys had robbed a Pizza Hut. One of them had escaped, had fled to the van, crawled in the back, fell asleep. Me and my wife got in the front two seats. We had been married for less than a year. She was pregnant with Melody at the time. So that makes us like 17 years ago. But anyway, we started our bus route, blah, blah, blah. I stopped, got gas. Never looked in the back seat. If you've ever seen these vans, they're very big. So not so easy to see the back seat. We stopped, and as we went through the trip, very few kids were getting on. One teenage girl, she got on, sat in the front seat, and we were talking to her. And then as I was driving, I heard someone coughing, turned around and saw a guy in the back seat. I thought he was actually a teenager. Turns out he was a guy. But I was like, I don't remember picking anyone else up. And then he stated something, and I can't remember the exact words, but he basically said, I got something here in my pocket, don't make me pull it out and stab you. It implied he had a knife. And then he told me a place to take him. It was in Pensacola, Florida at the time. And I thought, oh, okay. And oddly enough, I was not really scared. In fact, I was thinking, this is going to make a great story. But I was also thinking, how can I, alert the police? Now, this was in the very early days of cell phones. So I had a cell phone at the time, but I didn't have it with me because I was thinking, oh, I'll call the 911 and they'll be like, sir, what do you want me to do next? So that wasn't it. So it was a good 10 minutes. Everyone was quiet. I'm sitting there thinking about how I'm going to tell the story someday. Also thinking about this girl and my wife and that they would be safe. But so I was speeding, hoping that a police officer would pull us over. Of course, didn't happen. We get to where the guy wanted me to take him to. He said, thank you, opened the side door, jumped out, threw $10 on the seat, said, that's for gas, and then ran off. And we're all sitting there a little bit in shock. And then I saw a police car come by within a minute. So I pulled my van in front of the police car, and they got a little annoyed about that. So they came out to yell at me. I explained what happened. They went off, called more police cars in. We sat there for a while, answered questions back and forth. And they caught the guy within 20 minutes, probably. Here's the thing, though. This whole thing went on. I could see the guy in my rearview mirror. I thought about it, but I never, when they came and showed me lineup pictures later on, I did not know what, I picked the guy out. I did, but I wasn't like 100% sure on it. When I got called in for the trial, all the defense lawyer said was, stand up. So I stood up, and I'm not a small guy. This gentleman was much smaller. We're talking like 5'8" or something, very small guy. I'm not so small. So I think the thing was, how would I be intimidated by me since he didn't actually have a gun? I don't really know all the defense. I didn't go to the whole trial. Just went in when I was told to. And essentially I was told to stand up and answer a few questions. They asked me if I was afraid, and I was kind of like, not exceptionally. So eventually he did go to prison for the robbing of the Pizza Hut, but not because of carjacking us. So that was that. And it was just a couple months later that we went to Korea. And then more trial happened, and I was hoping that they would need me as a witness, so they'd fly me back to America because it was very expensive to fly to America, but did not happen. And that's the last I've heard of that story, which is only one of many interesting stories that happened during that time period. So that is the story of that. Bet you thought it was more interesting. Okay, let's see here. What's the biggest thing about running the dice out that your wife does not like? Well, I'm going to have her do a Q&A with me maybe next week or soon, and you can just ask her that directly. There are games that have little replay value but have a great gaming experience to try out once. Besides the games that are meant to be played once, like Legacy and Time Stories, what games do you recommend as a try-once experience? That's a great question. I applaud you for your question. I think diplomacy. You should try it once, maybe. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's an experience, certainly. I think you should play Go maybe once, just to see how Go works. I think those are two games I'd recommend if you've never played them to try them out, experience-wise. There's not many games I would say that you need to try this experience once if you like. I would probably recommend playing an RPG once. So, there's that. Let's see here. What was the most disappointing expansion for a game you love? Probably Race for the Galaxy expansions. They just were not that amazing. Each of the first three was just the fourth one, well, even more so. The fifth one was good. But the first three were just disappointing, I think. I was expecting a whole lot more. Best expansion for a game you didn't love? Vexation, which is this expansion for Transamerica and Trans-Europa. Do not like those games at all. Vexation allowed you to put these things down and block other players. I like that. Very fun. Made me like the game a little more. Let's see. What's the most exciting new game that you played at the CMON Expo? The most exciting new game is the Godfather game by Eric Lang. It feels like a Euro-ish, still pretty mean, successor to Blood Rage. Really enjoyed it. Fortunately, it's not coming out until next year because they're coinciding it with the one of the anniversaries for the Godfather. I believe the 45th anniversary. I also really like Bloodborne. Don't know about the computer game. Don't care about the computer game. But that game was really entertaining. It felt like a more streamlined, faster Cutthroat Caverns. But just some cool card play, hand building. That was a lot of fun. I played a lot. Oh, Pets. I played Pets for Arcadia Quest. That was great. Great. Let's see here. What games do you plan on playing when Rodney Smith and Stephen Bonacore visit the Dice Tower? I don't have anything set. We're probably going to play Dark Moon. There's a possibility of us playing a game, and I don't know if we'll have the game at that point. I can't go into more detail. And there's a game I play in the spring as a somewhat surprise on everybody. We might play Catacombs. I've been thinking that would be a fun one to watch live. So things like that. We'll have the whole list up eventually. And then we won't even play half the games we put on our list, like we always do. What member of the Dice Tower is the most trusted driver when the crew needs to get somewhere? Sam Healy, for sure. You previously mentioned that you can sleep almost anywhere. Have you ever fallen asleep playing a board game? Several times. It happens at conventions late at night sometimes. I fell asleep notably once during a Turn in Taxis game with Sam. I once, and I'll never say when and where, pretended to fall asleep because the game was bad. That was many years ago. It wasn't with you. It was with someone else, not you. Let's see here. When it comes to board game accessories, are there any that you would consider necessary? No, not really. Extra dice is probably the closest to being necessary. What's the worst movie you've ever seen in a theater? I don't go to see very many movies in theaters, but when I first got out of college, I had a chance to go see movies, so I just started seeing whatever I could see. So I'll go with Little Nicky. Is the worst movie I've seen in a theater. Nowadays, I very rarely see a bad movie in a theater because I only go see movies I'm pretty sure I'll like. So if it's the past 5 years, it would be Batman vs. Superman. What are your predictions for this year's Spiel des Jahres nominees? I predict Codenames, one of the two hobby games, either Adventurelands or Karuba, and Animals on Board. That's probably wrong. I'm hoping I get one of the three right, but that's my predictions. What skill, if any, developed through board gaming and has a major effect on non-gaming parts of your life? Well, learning how to make videos has certainly helped me. Learning how to talk and explain things. But skills in board gaming, I don't know. I think that you're well-rounded in general, learning to deal with people, learning to negotiate, learning to do math, learning to do other things. Those would be skills, but I don't know if there's one in particular. Can we see more of your component wall? Yeah, I guess I'm in the mood for that, but I'll put that off for a few minutes, and then I'll show that. Oh, actually, yes. Never mind. That's right. We're a two-person team now, so we can do this. I don't remember what I did last time. I think I showed this top section. So we'll go to this one here. So we'll look at these here. So did I do this one? I don't remember if I did or not. Too bad if I did. All right, so in here I got white stars. I don't know what I would use white stars for, but I have them. Here we got red hearts. Here I got flat meeples, flat towers, and flat shields. These were for something. These are barrels. I actually bought these because I found them, and I figured I could use barrels in some sort of game. I bought these at Essen last year, and I bought these too. I got bread and sausages. I think I could use these for Caverna or Grickle or something, but I already have food in those, so. Lightning bolts in this one. Not sure what I would use lightning bolts for. Here I got some white hexagonal markers. I'm not even sure what these are from, and I'll probably never use them because they're horrible pieces, really. These are blue blobs. Clouds, maybe? I'm not really making a good impression with this. Okay, here's orange gems. I actually use these a lot. These have I use them for Magic the Gathering or for hit points. Those are pretty good. In this drawer, I have spices, gold bars, and... Oh, these are all the pieces I took out of Marco Polo when I replaced them with the stuff from Jamie Stegmaier set. He had the gold bars and the cloth and the bags of spices. But I didn't want to throw the pieces away, so I just stuck them in this drawer for now. These are wooden logs and woods. This is if I need more wood, this is the thing to get it. This is little gray tokens for stone, I guess. Gold bars. Brick. Actual stones that you could probably pick up off the ground. Apples and fish. These, again, I got at Essen because I figured, hey, I might need to put an apple in a game someday. Hasn't happened yet. That one's empty. These are factories. I figure if a game ever has factory tokens for anything, I can stick these wooden factories in. Again, I got these from Essen. These are yellow hexagonal pieces, more hearts, red, and, blue skulls. I can replace things like Arkham Horror with mind and with hearts in them. This is all a bunch of little dudes. These are like miscellaneous little wooden pieces in case I ever need. I got dinosaurs here, running dudes. Chunky big firemen that were replaced in my Flashpoint Fire Rescue, but I thought maybe I'll need firemen for another game. These are purple blocks. These are rounded gray blocks. And then all these drawers here, and I'm not going to go through them all, but you can see these are just full of cubes. So I have red cubes, orange cubes, brown cubes, black cubes, yellow cubes, green, dark blue, white. Oh yeah, here's a bunch of meeples from Meeple Source or different custom meeples I have in that drawer. Here's other meeples, different style meeples from different games. And then here's a whole container that's full of houses. These are like from Power Grid. They probably are from Power Grid. I've replaced them with other pieces. And then we got, trains and blue cubes, pink cubes, gray cubes, purple cubes, tan cubes, and translucent cubes that people use in the games like Pandemic. All right, that's that section. We'll look at the next section next time. I'm sure that was amazingly awesome. All right, where are we at now? Let's see, let's mark that one as answered. Star Wars Rebellion wasn't on your Alphabet S list. Is it too new or have you soured on it a bit? Maybe I missed it. It's not that I've soured on it. It would have been on the list probably. So I probably forgot about it. Any thoughts on Miami Dice number 200? How do you decide on what games are reviewed in Miami Dice format? It's just games I review with Sam. That's how I decide. Usually they're bigger games. I don't even know what the last Miami Dice is at this point. I'll look it up in a second. Hang on. Miami Dice. The Dice Tower. I guess we are getting close to 200. We haven't done any Miami Dices in a while because Sam is usually working on other games and I'm working on games, and so we don't do them as much. But I will find out in one moment. I'm able to pull these up, and let's look at Miami Dice. 195. Oh, we are getting close. I don't really have any plans for Miami Dice 200. Actually, I do. Who is it? Is that Jason?
Ruby.
Now, hang up on that. We'll get back to that. Let's see here. Anyway, so no, I don't have anything special for Miami Dice 200. Okay. When selling used games, how do you settle the resale value? What aspects do you consider, like out of print, how used the components are, etc.? If you're talking about me, I just, whatever seems fair to me at the time. And whatever seems fair to me at the time. Am I over the place? Hello, everyone. I'm not really trying to make money from selling games. It's not like, I'm gonna make money off these games. If I was trying to make money, then I would consider, the easiest way to determine the value, I'd go look at BGG, or I'd go look at eBay or whatever and see how much they're going for. And I would go $10 cheaper than that. How do you decide which topics are going to be on the new Back Talk format? Well, if I think the current week is something that's really intriguing, would be good feedback from everybody else, then I'll use that. Like this week, I won't do that because I'm talking about my mom. I talked about my mom. So that's not really a good Back Talk episode, unless they knew my mom. So then I'm just going to go backwards in Board Game Breakfast to the last interesting topic, and then we'll go over that. Now, when we eventually get back to number 1, then maybe I'll start searching for other topics. But that gives me like 80 topics. So that's over a year from now, so I'm not really worried about it. We might even take like... it's going to be much longer than that because there's going to be topics I talk about that are interesting. So I would say one out of 2 will be the same as that week's Board Game Breakfast, and the one that's not. So it'll take a long time before we run out of topics. All right, see you later, sir. Top 5 cheeses. Don't I answer this question all the time? Horseradish, cheddar, black, pepper jack, Swiss cheese, baby Swiss, and Havarti or whatever it's called. That's just off the top of my head. There's probably not. I probably have much better cheeses. That's a terrible answer. Imperial Settlers or 51st State Master Set. I haven't played 51st State Master Set, but man, does it look pretty. Let's see here. By the way, folks, if you're coming in for the first time, I'll be taking questions from a link in the description called Q&A, and you can go there and ask your own question or vote up questions. Anyway, if Nintendo licensed out their properties for good board games, what would you like to see? Legends of Zelda would be my first pick. Maybe, but video games and board games are kind of different experiences. A video game is like a first person, ooh, I'm going to go explore things. I love Legends of Zelda. Great games. But I don't know. It's just kind of it's a one person going around and adventuring. That doesn't translate to a good board game, I don't think. Just same with Metroid or Castlevania, Super Mario. I wouldn't. I don't care is the thing. I don't sit there and ooh, I wish they made this into a board game. I don't think that's that big of a deal. I love Nintendo. I just don't think they need to be made into board games. What tips do you have to offer to Northerners moving to the South? First of all, the people there are actually being friendly. They're not out to get you. I know the first time I went into church and some guy came up and hugged me and I was like, whoa, hey, no touching. I didn't realize that people hugged down south and that when someone said, thank you, sir, that they were not being sarcastic. They were actually being polite. So that's what I recommend. Also, the food is really good. So you may never have heard of fried okra or fried corn or fried pickles or white gravy. Looks kind of gross the first time you see it, but that stuff is amazing. Also, life does move a little slower down here, so just suck it up because I know that as a Yankee, I'm like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. What game is better, Quadropolis or Suburbia, and why? I'm not answering that question. I'm only asking it because I just don't do those very often. I've done reviews of both. You can go compare them. You pick which one's better. And if you really want to know which one I like better, then you wait till my top 100 comes out this year and see which one's ranked higher. What are your thoughts on the 7th continent? I've not been there. It's really cold. If I had the opportunity to go to Antarctica, though, I would. Have you ever regretted the Vasco da Gama apology ending or Hawaii review? I think they're fun, but understand why some would be bothered. Yes, okay? Not the Vasco da Gama apology. That was super fun to do, and it was just really entertaining all around. And the designer of Vasco da Gama, Paolo Mori, has done some amazing games like Libertalia and just some really good stuff that I've loved. Hawaii, though, I regret. I was planning to do that anyway. I was like, all right, I can't wait till I get the chance to take a game, throw it in the trash, and it's it's gonna be a funny joke. It was funny, right? And I played Hawaii. I was like, oh, I hate this game. This is it. The problem is that's Greg's only game that he's designed, and I've always felt bad about that. I would have preferred to do it to a designer that has a whole lot of games that are thing, because I did not mean anything negative towards him, and I met him, and he's so nice, and that was just So, the problem is you gotta be careful when you're making fun and doing funny things. Try not to hurt people. Now, I know I hurt people's feelings in my reviews, and I can't apologize for that. If I say your game is garbage, I apologize. I do not mean anything against you, but yeah. Let's see here. Tom, what's your favorite game mechanic that everyone seems to not like? Well, most people I know don't really like blind bidding, and I've always enjoyed that one. That's the one I can think of off the top of my head, but most mechanisms I like, so does everybody else. Are board gaming terms becoming more and more meaningless? It seems that games are less and less fitting into specific genres or using mechanisms in a clearly definable way. Is it because board gaming has become a melting pot of a hobby? I believe you have answered your own question there. Let's see. Do you think there will eventually be a time when awards other than the Spiel des Jahres have much or more gravity than the Spiel des Jahres? What awards could pull that off, if any? I don't know, and I don't think so. I guess some good examples are, let's say, the International Gaming Awards. The International Gaming Awards have taken very seriously what they're doing, right? They vote very seriously. They have people who know what they're talking about games. Now, they have a definite Euro slant to them. I mean, like a hardcore Euro slant to them. But that's fine, as long as you know where their preferences lie. But they have these awards. They announce them at Essen each year at the board game booth. They make a big production out of it. They give awards out. They really put a lot of effort into it. And yet, a lot of people have never heard of them. Origins puts fanfare into their awards. They've made some major mistakes in the past years, so they have like zero kind of credibility. Now it's slowly growing back, and I think they're getting better, but there's that. What other awards are there? Dice Tower Awards? Certainly biased in that opinion, but I'm not going to pretend that they're that big of a deal. I'm trying to grow them, but I'm not sure that it will ever get to be where the Spiel des Jahres Awards are. I think they just happen to be in the right place at the right time. I'm not sure any award will ever supersede or be as well known as they were. Games Magazine had some clout for a while, but those are gone. I was always kind of opposed to those because they were picked by one person anyway. The Mensa Game Awards get a lot of traction, but no, I don't see anything really approaching the Spiel des Jahres Awards, not at the point in time. Like I said, I love the Dice Tower Awards to get there, but I don't feel like they are, or even are halfway. Let's see here. How many games have you thrown away as opposed to giving away or selling the game? Less than 5, maybe less than 10. And I would say at least if I threw away, let's say I threw away 10. I don't remember if I have or not. But if I threw away 5, it's because I kept the components of those games for something else, like my drawers, or I stuck them in another game. So something like that. Very few have I thrown away. There's been a couple that were just so awful that I was like, I can't even justify giving this another person. And that's usually because of awfulness of theme, right? Like the game was that offensive to me that I threw it away. Wasn't going to sell it to somebody else even. If I thought the game was just an awful game, someone out there is bound to like it. So very few, really. Did you intentionally leave Robinson Crusoe off your R list, or was it forgotten? It was forgotten. I really tried hard with these lists. I have them all here. Here's my T's and U's, and I got these W's, X, Y's, and Z's. And I went through and looked and looked and looked, and I thought, okay, I haven't missed anything, but I missed a couple key games, and Robinson Crusoe and Star Wars Rebellion were 2 of those. Hopefully I didn't miss any with the rest of the alphabet. I don't think so. Some of these letters like U and X, I definitely didn't miss any because I haven't played that many of those. Do you have any tips for non-Americans moving to America? Everything is huge. Order small on everything. And then don't be surprised how big it is. You'll just have to get used to that. Everything in America is done big, especially food-wise. Tons of food everywhere. Americans are friendly. They may not always appear to be friendly. Just give them time. And ask questions. Americans are never feel like, oh, I'm afraid to use my English around people, they'll judge me. Americans are in no position to judge people on their command of a second language, right? The joke is if you're bilingual, you speak 2 languages. If you're trilingual, you speak 3 languages. If you're American, you speak 1. And someone come to me and go, I apologize, my English isn't very good. There's no need to apologize because my French is non-existent. My Spanish is barely passable. I cannot criticize people on their English, so don't feel like you have to constantly apologize for not being an American. Also, if there's something that you love in your country, it's probably on the internet. You can find it here. Can you say this tongue twister? If 2 witches were watching 2 watches, which witch would watch which watch? If 2 witches were watching 2 watches, which witch would watch which watch? That one's not too bad. Some are hard to say, like the sheik's 6th sheep is 6. Stuff like that's hard. But like stuff like Betty bought a bit of butter, but she said this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So she bought a bit of butter better than her bitter butter, and she put it in her batter. And her batter was not bitter, so 'twas better Betty bought the bit of better butter. I think I got that right. Or then not shot Sam shot. So it's better to be shot than not. Some say not was not shot, but shot says he shot not. Now if the shot not, the not was shot. But if the shot, then shot was shot, not. However, the shot, not shot, but not. I do like tongue twisters, but there's just some I'm not very good at. Hey, folks, we are now about to move off the Q&A game list. I'm going to be taking questions from the YouTube questions right now, so you can ask them. Remember, I don't answer every question. There's variety. I know there's a specific question that people are begging me to answer, but there's just things that I need to deal with and take place. So if you're trying to guess what question it is, and you're like, why hasn't he answered that question? Because there's other things going on behind the scenes that I'm dealing with on that particular question. So that's why. So let's see. Oh, these people aren't asking questions. They are talking about code names. People do like to talk about code names. The others, Seven Sins Thoughts, I did not have a chance to play that at the Cool Mini or Not convention, so I can't really give any thoughts on that. I know that one's coming out soon, so when it does come out, I'll certainly give my opinion on it. The miniatures are both wow and at the same time. What do you think about the Dark Souls board game Kickstarter? The amount of money it has received, the total backers, currently the highest ever for a board game. Not surprised. It's a very, very popular video game that has really cool looking miniatures. I guess I'm just not surprised at these things. Will the game be good? We'll find out when it comes out. Did you have a chance to eat a good poutine in Montreal? Yeah, I ate some. Went to this little Irish pub that was there, and they made poutine with curry on it. It was very delicious. And then I went somewhere else. I had poutine with barbecue on it. Both were very delicious. Let's see here. Tom, I think I heard you say you played Warhammer 40K some time ago. Could you tell us if and when as to why you stopped playing? See that you still play Magic the Gathering. Well, I stopped playing Warhammer 40K. I said I was never going to get into it. I talked to my friends all the time. They were talking about models and painting models. I was like, I don't care about that stuff. I don't want to paint models, all that work and all that jazz. And then one day at my house, two of my friends came over and they said they were going to play it at my house. So they set it up and they played it and I watched. And I said, and they showed me the army building feature, and I was like, oh, man. Because it reminded me of deck building, and this army building thing was so cool. You could build your own armies. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll get some. So I went out and bought the most expensive set I could buy, a $200 box of Eldar armies. This is like, oh, I got to put all this together now. Put it together, started playing. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed playing with my friends. But a lot of times I needed people to play against, too, so I went to the store and played against people, and I have to say it was like a 50% not fun ratio. People mocked my painting skills. They built cheesy armies. They argued over everything. They played very cheesily. They were the kind of people that I probably wouldn't hang out with other than playing 40K, and it just wasn't that fun for me. I then went to Korea. There was nobody to play 40K with there. There wasn't a scene in Korea at all for that, or at least not in the area I was in. So when Richard Borg offered me to trade me a whole pile of board games for all my 40K stuff, I took him up on it and never looked back. Did you forget Star Wars Queen's Gambit on your S list? I did not. It was number 11. Well, probably number 12 now. Have you ever fallen asleep in church? Many, many times. See, people always ask me, how do you get so much done? And part of it is I don't sleep a whole lot. I get things done. And I'm always doing this. I'm moving that and doing that. But if I sit still, the chance of me falling asleep is very high. If I'm in a car, traveling somewhere, I'm going to fall asleep. If I'm in church, I have to fight not staying asleep. If I'm in class, if I'm in any meeting, I have to fight not falling asleep. My most memorable one time was I fell asleep in church, and for some reason, I put my hat on. I don't put hats on in church, but my hat was like this. And everyone else just got up and left. This was a long time ago. Before I was married. Yeah, not very proud of that. If you were offered $25,000 for everything in your room, including your table and all electronic equipment, would you take it? No. For one thing, the electronic equipment in his room is more than $25,000 worth. Between the computers and all the cameras and everything, oh my goodness, no. The table, like board games, no. You're going to have to raise the price on that a lot. Not to mention having to hunt everything down. Now, of course, if I was desperate for money, then yes, of course I would do it. Is Quarriors dead? Probably. They haven't done anything for it for a long time. I think it's dead. I think they're concentrating on Dice Masters now. What comic book character that hasn't been portrayed in a movie yet are you most hopeful to see on the big screen one day? That hasn't been in a movie yet. That's interesting. Because a lot of the ones I like have been in a movie. Has Cable been in a movie yet? I don't think Cable has, but that'd be interesting to see Cable. Of the Avengers, I've seen most of them. Man. Wow, there's a lot of comic book characters and a lot that I think should be in movies. I'd like to see Speedball from the new Warriors. That's interesting. Mr. Sinister has not been in a movie yet. I'd like to see him. Any interested in a new Uncharted 4 game coming out tomorrow? I know you aren't a big video gamer, though. That's correct. Is Uncharted 4 coming out for the Mac? If it is, I might look into it. But if it's not, then doubtful. I only play stuff on the Mac. We have a Wii video gaming system that my kids and I play games together on, and I'll get them games for the Wii. But for me, I just play games on the Mac, and not that many. I buy maybe one game a year at the most. Have not bought one yet in 2016, so I'm open. Question, I'm trying to wait patiently, but when will you be able to fulfill the Kickstarter backers? And I appreciate you waiting patiently. If you would look on the Kickstarter itself, it says that we will deliver the stuff that it's supposed to be there in June. So it's not June yet, so I haven't hopefully been late. I will be putting out a full update on tomorrow. I was checking with some of the different people giving us the promos and making sure we had everything. So I will have an update for that tomorrow. That is on my list of things to do. It will go out before noon, Lord willing, tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. And I apologize if you thought you're getting yourself faster. A lot of these promos and things took a while for us to get a hold of. Again, I apologize. I'm not trying to put people off, but I think that we are currently pretty close to being on time. If you could only get one, Pandemic Cthulhu or Pandemic Iberia? That's a pretty interesting choice there. I'll go with Iberia, I guess. I don't know. The Cthulhu thing is cool and all, but do you know if Planet Hat still plans to release Dungeon Run 2? I doubt it. Dungeon Run itself didn't do that well for them, I don't believe, so I don't know that they would do number 2. What are your 5 favorite natural disaster movies? 2012 for pure popcorn flick. My number 1 is Deep Impact. Really like Deep Impact because I just love the emotional connection I have with the character. So Deep Impact, 2012 is silly fun. There's one from Korea that I really like. I forget I don't know what the name of it. It's about a monsoon. That one I really enjoyed. Did not really like Day After Tomorrow that much. Really disliked the recent one with The Rock. The San Andreas one, because it just annoyed me that he kept flying and ignoring people dying everywhere. Ooh, the Towering Inferno, or whatever that one was called. That would probably be on the list. I need a 5th. Not The Core. Not Armageddon. Let me quick look up a list of disaster movies and see. Poseidon Adventure and Twister, maybe. So what have I said so far? Towering Inferno, Deep Impact, 2012, based on purely silliness. Oh, Independence Day. Independence Day. I really liked Independence Day a lot. I'm looking forward to the sequel even. I know it's going to be cheesy, but I don't care. Have you considered making an additional top 10 in the alphabet with forgotten games? Maybe. Once I'm done with the alphabet, I'm going to be moving on to years. I'm going to start probably in like 1980 and just do the best from each year. Some of the years it's going to be 5 until we get far up. So what does that give me? Like 10, 20, 30 some more lists to do? My brother has struggled with depression and spent time in a mental health hospital recently. I want to try time stories with him, but wonder if asylum could be uncomfortable for him. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. I'd start with Marcy Case, probably. How many games of yours have you decided to buy card foils for? I almost never would get card foils for anything. I have a few for different games, but I would never go out of my way to get them. Is there a book or books you've always wanted to read but seems too daunting? That's interesting. A book I've always wanted to read? I've always wanted to read War and Peace and never have. I don't know. If there's a book I want to read, I usually start reading it. I read a lot. Right now I'm reading through a series called Sten, S-T-E-N. It's a series in the future. Very intriguing. I think there's 8 books in the series and they tie together really well. A lot of action-packed stuff there. When will the FAQ be finished? I guess never. It's a living FAQ. So if you mean when will I add more questions to it? Oh, that's right. I'm supposed to post a link to the FAQ in these Q&As. I need to start doing that from now on. Like, hey, don't forget there's a FAQ. Frequently asked questions. Would you like to visit Cuba? I guess. Is he allowed to visit Cuba? I don't know. I don't know if that he really wants to. His family lives here in South Florida. The Essentials video is nearly at 900,000 views. If you started thinking about what's going to be in your next one. No, it's going to be a while before it gets that last 100,000. Ha 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 ha. Montreal or Toronto, which city did you like better? Careful, contentious issue in Canada. Oh, very easy here, and that's Toronto. But I'll tell you why before you Montrealians yell at me, because I wasn't actually in Montreal. I went around Montreal and saw things. So I don't really have anything. I wasn't in Montreal. I was in Toronto. I wasn't in Montreal. I was in some suburbs around it. And there it was fantastic, very nice and everything. So equal if I'm comparing those. But I wasn't in Montreal, so I can say Toronto for now. Also, Toronto has a baseball team. The new video series is great. The last one regarding print and play and pirating really started a spirited discussion in the comments. Will you revisit any of these again to cover comments? It's possible, but I did want to address one comment. Someone emailed me and said, Tom, you're a jerk because you're very well off and you get all these games, and you said people who can't afford them need to suck it up. So I want to clarify that. If you can't afford these games and you want to pirate them or whatever to get them, I'm still very adamant, suck it up. But let me be a little bit more explaining in that regard. I know that I'm very fortunate in what I have. In America, I'm not considered rich by any means, but compared to much of the world, I would be. I do not currently want. My family has food, clothing, and a house. That is all you need. And I'm very appreciative of that. There are many things I do not have, though, right? I don't have a very nice car. I don't have many luxuries that I might like to get because I simply cannot afford them. I don't deserve them. They're luxuries. I don't know how you can say, well, I deserve this. Now, do you deserve medical care? I think so. Do you deserve food and a house and clothing and basic living things? Sure. And you can make an argument that you need those things. Get those things for your family. But we don't need board games. You say that's easy for you to say, Vasel, because you have so many. And you're right, it is easier for me to say because I do have many. But there are other things that I do not have, things that I would like to get. I'd be like, ooh, that'd be a pretty neat thing to have. I can't afford them. I love to take my wife out to see Broadway shows, but we simply can't afford it right now in our budget to go see these Broadway shows. So I don't go to them. And life goes on. There's other things that I can do. So I'm not saying this to be, this, ha ha ha, I have it and you don't. But at the same time, just because you don't have something doesn't mean you should. Games are a luxury. They also happen to be my job. It's kind of like a guy who reviews cruises, goes on cruises all the time. I love to go on cruises all the time, but I can't. Is that guy a jerk? No, that's his job. So I would say it's a similar thing with me. I think people will still disagree with me on that, but I'm not trying to be jerky. At the same time, I don't understand how people can feel entitled that, well, I deserve these. No, we don't deserve anything. I don't have super deluxe version of War of the Ring. I can't afford it, but I don't deserve it. What percent of gamers do you think cheat? I don't know. I'm sure it happens, but I don't know. Do you have a preferred method for teaching a new game to players? For example, do you start with explaining the theme, the objective of the game? I would start with explaining the objective of the game. Say, this is what we're trying to do. Then I might give a little bit of a theme if possible. This is what we're doing. This is how you get there. Explain it, if at all possible. I'll go into more detail. I think I'm going to make a video sometime on how to teach a game. I'm not saying I'm the best teacher ever either. First few great hymns that pop in your head. We'll go with He Lives, He Keeps Me Singing, In My Heart There Rings a Melody, and Can It Be? The Bible Stands, Dwelling in Beautiful Land, Christ Arose, Heaven Came Down, Victory in Jesus, and A New Name and Glory. How did I know all those? I already made a top 10 list. So it wasn't really in my head. I cheated. So apparently some percentage of gamers cheat. I can't answer that question because I think that spoils people who might be listening to this. If you won the lottery, what one luxury item in your Epic game room would be your most prized item? I don't play the lottery, so I can't win it. But let's say I got millions of dollars. I would have a super awesome game room. I would. And in that game room, there'd be a waterfall at one end. But at the other end, there'd be this mega deep sea aquarium with just gorgeous fish in it. It would be beautiful. That would be my most prized possession. That'd be cool. I'd also have to hire someone to clean it because cleaning those things is a bear. But that'd be awesome. But I'm not going to get that much money. I'm not going to build that epic gaming room. So, hypothetical. Oops, there goes me jumping down. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I apologize, it just jumped really far down. Okay, there we go. Caught back up in questions. Sorry about that. I'll go a little bit longer today anyway, so we'll get to most questions. Do you know how to make Memoir 44 longer? Yeah, you can buy breakthrough scenarios. Breakthrough makes the game board deeper and makes the games longer. The next game in your collection to be kicked out to make room for something great. I don't know because it depends on the size of the game I'm keeping. And that's what matters. And I know though, well, what about the square box? I don't know. I always sit and put that off and put it off until it actually happens. I'm going to start putting this question in my fact. We know that the Alphabet is not your top 260. When Alphabet is done, will you compare it to your top 260? No. I don't even have my top 100, 260. I make my top 100, and that's so much work that I'm done. So that will not happen. It's not a persuadable thing. It will not happen. I apologize. Let's see here. Is there going to be a survey for the Kickstarter for email for people who pledge for meals with you guys, or just email exchange information outside of Kickstarter? I'll email people before the convention happens. In fact, If you did it for Origins or the UK Gaming Expo, you can expect an email from me very soon. Um, have you seen Civil War yet? If so, what are your thoughts? Well, I've seen it twice. The first time I saw it was kind of a weird. We went to a big IMAX 3D theater, and I sat in row 2 on the very side. So the whole time I was like, oh, what is going on? The action scenes were very hard to follow. I really enjoyed it though, and I cemented my opinion. I'm done with 3D, just done with it. I know some people love it, but I'm done with it. So I went and took my family to see it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I don't know where I would put it. I think I like it better than Avengers 2. I think I like it better than Winter Soldier. I know Winter Soldier is a really great story, but the middle action sequence in the movie is just phenomenal. It is my favorite action sequence in any of the Marvel movies yet, even more so than, say, the main action sequence in the Avengers movie. I just really enjoyed it. I really liked the new characters. One of the characters did something that completely surprised me that I should have thought about, didn't. Highly enjoyed it. The ending is also very good. My kids were not as enthralled with the ending. They liked the middle the best, but it was it kind of was a slow build up, but that middle was so worth it. And great characterization. They nailed Black Panther. They nailed Spider-Man. Just fantastic all around. I mean, it's not one of those movies you look at and go, oh, that person's not a very good actor to kind of bring a movie down. It just doesn't happen. And when they pick these characters, you're like, wow, Vision is Vision. Scarlet Witch is Scarlet Witch. Hawkeye is Hawkeye. Just really cool. I really, really, really liked the movie. I did read the entire Wheel of Time story. If you haven't read Wheel of Time, if you don't like the first book, you're not going to like it. First book is incredibly good. Second book is not so bad. It follows that same storyline. Third book is good. Fourth book it kind of starts dragging out. Well, I mean, actually started dragging out in book 2. Fourth book really starts dragging out, but fourth book has a pretty good ending. Fifth book, super draggy. Sixth book, super draggy with one of the best endings of any books. Then it just started dragging out, dragging out. Then Robert Jordan died, and Brandon Sanderson came in and finished up the series, turning Robert Jordan's last book into 3 books. However, those 3 books were really good, but Robert Jordan had created so many characters. Could Wheel of Time been written in a 5-book series and been really good? I think so. Ending was slightly less spectacular than I would hope. It was good. There was a final battle, and it was final, and it took up a good chunk of the book, which was worthwhile. Some characters I thought got short shrift, though. Some things were really cool. Some things that were hinted at, oh, this is going to be amazing, were, well, not. There was a lot of things I liked about the Wheel of Time story. I got really tired of the bickering between men and women. The women were always crossing their arms and sighing about how annoying men were, and men were always like, I don't understand women. I get that stuff happens, but it happened to like a huge degree, and no one in those books got along. And there were whole chapters of people just arguing. I'm not a big fan of arguing. So when the action sequences came, they were amazing and great, but they were written so short compared to the lengthy talking in the books. Great mythology, though. Really enjoyed that part. But you could read the first book and end there and be okay. They also introduced like too many people. In the second book, they introduced an entirely new faction, which is just becomes a major player in the whole series, but just makes it very unwieldy. And then they introduce another faction in the last book. Yeah. All right. What are your impressions of the upcoming game Defenders of the Last Stand? Looks really cool. I watched the Secret Cabal guys play it for a while. It just sounded fun from what they were doing. The theme came across really strong. I hope it's good because it looks great. I know that the camera's slightly tilted, but I don't feel like fixing it. Sorry. Um, what, if any, web comics do you enjoy? Well, that's easy. I'm just going to pull up my list here. Hang on. I use a website called Piper, Piperka.net. It's a great site. It keeps track of all my comics. So I guess I need to sign in. And I'll tell you what I got on my list. All right. Basic instructions. Love this comic. The Adventures of Dr. McNinja. Wondermark. XKCD. Dork Tower. Looking for Group. The Non-Adventures of Wonderella. PvP. Joy of Tech. The Order of the Stick. And Goblins is one I enjoy. I take in and out comics all the time. So sometimes comics, I'll be in and out. I was reading Girl Genius for a long time, and then it just kind of drags. I said, okay, I'm just going to wait 3 or 4 years, and I'll go back and read straight through Girl Genius and read all the different things that happened there. What's my favorite Eldar unit, lore-wise and visually? I'm not really strong on the lore of Eldar, so my favorite units, I really like the Fire Dragoons. The Warp Spiders I thought were really cool. The thing I liked about Eldar is I felt like all their unit was different. Oh, the Fire Dragoons, these guys can kill anything. They just got to get close. The Warp Spiders can jump from here to here. The Swooping Banshees can come on the battlefield halfway through. You got the Wraith Guard, or big tanks basically walking through, but they're expensive. And you got there's just so many different kinds of Eldar that I thought were pretty neat. Let's see here. What game in your collection has gone the longest without being played? Huh. I don't know. There's probably quite a few games that have gone a long time without being played here. Was at a game cafe on tabletop day. The woman at the table next to me started berating the man she came with, making my friend and me uncomfortable. At what point do you say something? I don't know, man. That's a tough one. If 2 people are arguing and they're together, I mean, if someone starts yelling at someone in the group, that's easy to step in. But if 2 people together, I don't know that I want to step in the middle of that. If it's really bugging the rest of the group, I might say, I don't know. That's a tough one. I don't really know what to do in that situation. Do you think that the Warhammer Quest adventure game did well enough to do any expansions? I don't know. They announced some for Runebound, so I would hope that they would do some for the Warhammer game, because that was really good too. Let's see here. There's a guy that gets paid to test water slides all over the world. That'd be a pretty cool job, huh? Let's see here. If you had a waterfall in your game room, you'd need a serious heavy-duty dehumidifier. Your stuff would get all mildewed. Yes, that's true. But that's the thing. In my perfect gaming room, the games aren't even in the room. The games are like in an air-conditioned vault that you walk in, and there's just shelf after shelf that has all the games in different spots. And they're not alphabetical. They're in there, and they look nice, but you just say, this is the game I want to play. You type it in. It'd be like shelf 6, row 4. And you go down to shelf 4. There's the game. And you pull it out. At the very beginning of this room would be all my game component shelves times 10, extra dice and everything. Every game would be blinged out. In a little corner would be a guy whose full-time job would be to paint my stuff. He'd be like, oh, hello, sirs. And he'd be painting more miniatures. Then the main gaming area is where the waterfall would be, and that room would also have some climate control going on, keeping that waterfall from not getting the room to be too full of humidity. the fish tank at the one end, a really nice sound system, amazing lighting so that you wouldn't be able to see games at all times, a big wide open field. One side would have a window where you could see outside. Hopefully it would be a good view. The other side would be a big screen, so we could put things up on that screen if we needed to. Lots of tables. Every seat would be one of those super comfortable office chairs that you could just relax in. And on the side, there'd be a little kitchen with a full-time chef there making what you need. These are the kind of things I daydream about. What's the next live play game in the works? Currently, we're working on next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but the next Saturday, the 20th, when Rodney and Steve are here. So that's for sure happening. Will we do something in between then and now? I don't know. We will be playing recorded plays of the new Time Stories this week, so you'll be able to watch that. Does Quadropolis murder Suburbia for you? No. You can look at my top 10 city building games to see. What were Sam's general thoughts on Exodus Proxima Centauri expansion? Sam really liked it. He liked it as much, if maybe not more than me. He really likes diversification. He liked the combat cards, so he enjoyed it. Well, you do a video version of the FAQ. That's not a bad idea. I might do that at some point. That'd be interesting. Team Cap all the way, I agree. Although I will say that the Civil War did not follow the comic book. In the comic book, they made you had to cheer for Captain America. You really did. Iron Man was just doing insane things. He was hiring villains, even though his viewpoint was fairly reasonable. The way he acted, just bad all around. In this movie, they did a better job at making him seem very reasonable. I thought in the movie you could go either way with the two characters. In fact, Iron Man's position may be a little bit stronger than Cap's in that movie. I think Captain didn't articulate his viewpoint as well as he could have. Still Team Captain America, but just... If you're sitting in the very front far right, then 3D is going to be bad, but done right, 3D is fantastic. That's true. I've been in some good 3D things. Yes, I know it's bad in the corner and stuff, but that's the thing. No matter where I am in a theater with 3D, I always feel like I'm working to see it. I don't want to work. It's also a little bit blurrier. It's a little bit darker. I love brightness. I like to be able to see all the action on the screen. When I go to a 2D movie, I'm like, I'm part of the movie. A 3D movie, I'm like, all right, what am I seeing here? Okay, wearing these glasses here. I don't know. It's just not the same experience for me. That's fine. People love 3D, can love it. They have enough of both, but I'm a big 2D guy. Have you tried both Caravan themes? No, I only played the one, but I mean, they're literally the exact same game, so I don't see how one theme would change the other one for me. Obviously, I'm going to like these really cool crystal golems over trading stuff, but they're both fine. You can only watch one for the rest of your life, Marvel movies or Star Wars? Marvel movies at this point, really. Yes, my daughters were also not real keen on the ending of Civil War. They were okay with it because they know that more is coming, but they felt like it wasn't as happy as like Avengers movies have been. But I do like that the Marvel's addressing head on, hey, when you throw a car at somebody, there are repercussions to that. That's good, and it's a thing a lot of movies ignore. You made a big deal of not spoiling a hidden faction in a new Smash Up, but then spoiled it in the alphabet. Did you forget it was secret? I I didn't spoil it in my initial review because I did the review right away. But at this point in time, it's not a spoiler. Who cares? I really don't care. It's not like people are like, don't tell me what the faction is. Don't tell me what the faction is. It was more like a, hey, cool, extra thing in the box. So I don't feel bad that I'm spoiling it at this point in time. I was asked it in the thing, and that's what I. And so yeah, I spoiled a little bit, but I don't know that it was a spoiler. It's just kind of a nice surprise. Um, can time stories be played with non-gamers? Maybe if you're holding their hands to some degree. The first one more than the rest. I got a friend who keeps saying I don't like board games. How do you get them to play anyway? Or do you just accept their opinion? Someone who's not into board games, if you really want them to get into board games, then trade them. Say, you pick something, I'll do that, and then we try a board game. And if they don't like the board game, forget it. But if someone's like, I don't want to play board games, I don't want to make them do it. There's some things people want me to do that I'm not real keen on. Some might say, Tom, you got to jump out of an airplane. It's amazing. I'm not really in the mood. There's things I don't want to do. Like jumping out of airplanes, probably not the best example. Golf. Okay? I have no desire to play golf. If you're like, Tom, you got to play golf. Do I have to? I don't really want to. Why would you want me to come play golf? Like, you'll really love it. Well, maybe I will, but I just don't want to. So why would I want someone to do that with board games? Let's see. Well, that's not actually what happened. It says the Secret Cabal bragged about getting stores a demo for them, then whipping out the phones and ordering online in front of that seller. I don't think that's what happened. They were more like finding the game there and they bought it online after looking at it in the store. It wasn't quite so, watch what I'm doing. That wasn't the impression I got from the episode at all. I don't get the impression that they're that kind of guys. They're very, very nice people. I would be very cautious about doing that myself. I have seen things in stores before, not board games, but like other things. I'm like, oh man, I can get that cheaper online. And then I go home and order it online. I would not do it in the store itself because that just feels kind of jerky. I'm using that store to learn about the product and then getting it somewhere else. I'm not saying it's wrong, it just feels that way. Jerky to me, that's all. And ooh, I'm almost caught up on questions. Great. The Secret Ball also said that the idea that game stores grow the hobby is propaganda by the stores. No, I think the hobby has grown by many ways. And the stores existed for a long time. Until the internet came by, the hobby did not grow that much. So the internet has definitely have a growth on the hobby. And local people inviting other people to play games has grown a hobby. But game stores definitely have grown the hobby. There's no question to that. No, no, no. This guy says a perfect game room has a robot arm that grabs the game off a shelf after a search and deposits. It's like a vending machine. No, no. You don't want that. You want to go in there and look at the rows of games. That's what you want to do because it would be amazing. Any thoughts on why there has still been no expansions for Caverna? Guys, that boggles me as much as it does you. I'm really surprised that Mayfair didn't slash Lookout Games has not done any expansions for Caverna. The only thing I can think of is that they simply think there's enough in the game. And really, it's not like I'm like, oh, I wish there was expansions for Caverna. But I wouldn't be upset if they made one, but they've chosen not to. So I don't know why. I'm going to Board Game Geek Con in November. What would I need to do to play a game with any of the Dice Tower folks? Run into us. That's how it works. Of course, I'm probably going to have a bunch of testing games, so you have to play one of those games with me if you play with me. My top 10 hats? Well, this is my favorite hat right now, for sure. I really like this hat a lot. Wondering whether anyone on the Dice Tower cruise would want to play Survive while at sea. I would. That'd be pretty funny. Um, Do you enjoy seasons? Yes, I really enjoy seasons. Will you attend Dragon Con this year? Probably not. Every year I go, maybe, but it's not too far. It's a hop, skip, and jump away. We just got to fly to Atlanta. But I don't know. I know there's a lot of gaming that goes on there, but other than just seeing the spectacle, I'm not sure that it's worth going. Oh, excuse me. Let's see here. Civil War equals Empire Strikes Back. It's the valley before the peak. Possibly. Do my daughters follow any non-gaming YouTubes? I don't think so. I know they watch stuff on YouTube like songs and things. I don't know that they follow any channels. What are the best non-chocolate candies? The best? Tic Tacs? How many Golden Geek Awards does the Dice Tower have versus Secret Cabal? I think we only have 2. I would imagine they have like 10. There's only 2 of us. They have more hosts than us. I believe they also won for Best RPG Podcast because they occasionally mention RPGs. Yeah, I don't think we mentioned RPGs, so we can't win that category. It's sad. I know that I'm being quiet here. That's because I'm skipping a lot of these questions. I'm looking for some good questions here, jumping onto them. Also, some of these questions have already been asked and answered like 10, 15 minutes ago. That's interesting. Is that huge scandal and board game you keep predicting every year close to being revealed yet? Ha! I've given up on that. I'm surprised. It might still be revealed, but I doubt it. Have you ever fallen asleep during a live Q&A? No. Empire described as Valley blasphemy? That's not blasphemy, because listen, when you watch Empire Strikes Back for the first time, you get to the end, you're like, what? What? But what happens? What happens? If that was the end of the series, you'd be horrified. You would want to know what happens. So, yes, of course it's the Valley of the series. Orange Tic Tacs, the candy disguised as mints. Also the candy that you can eat a whole pile of and not get sick of. Tic Tacs over Skittles? Bold. Well, yes, but I'll say that Tic Tac commercials aren't so in-your-face annoying as Skittle commercials are. Hi, Tom. I saw the review for Blood Rage Expansion. My question is Odin okay? He's okay-ish. A good paint job, and you'll never know. Didn't realize how powerful Thor's hammer was. I should have read the comics more. Worst options at a Chinese buffet is dessert. Why is the Dice Tower Twitter and Instagram so quiet? Are they quiet? I thought I was on Twitter a good chunk over the week. I don't have time to put out stuff on Twitter all the time. Because the fact is, and it's hard to say this without like insulting other people, and I don't mean to be, but if you're constantly tweeting things, you're not getting other stuff done. I mean, the reason we don't tweet all the time is because we're making videos and we're doing this and we're doing that. Tweeting is a side thing. It's something when you spend time on Twitter and responding to tweets and stuff, that's a whole good chunk of time. And it's really important that you don't waste your time on these little things. These little things add up. There's all kinds of little things, Twitter and Facebook and all these things, and they're not bad things, but you spend a lot of time on them and you don't actually put out content. I think the content's really important. Go to Gen Con or Dice Tower Cruise to take a girlfriend who's not a huge gamer but does enjoy playing games with me. Well, obviously, I'm going to tell you to go on Dice Tower Cruise. I think that would be more fun than Gen Con, although Gen Con is a huge spectacle. So if you like the spectacle, if you like seeing all the new games, then Gen Con's where you're going to want to go in that regard. Mage Wars Arena versus Academy. Do you think one may be hurting the other regarding expansion focus? I don't think so, because it doesn't really matter. You can buy Mage Wars Academy stuff and stick it in Mage Wars. So if you're Mage Wars Arena, you're perfectly happy. Mage Wars Academy needs more stuff now. And honestly, I wouldn't be awfully surprised if 5 years from now you only see Academy stuff. When will you treat us with a live video with your wife again? That was surprisingly entertaining. I am going to try to get her on next week, but I'm not sure when that will be. It will probably be late at night again if we did it. Let's see. Let's see. Did you wonder if the cruise was too close to Christmas? No, I picked a month where I knew that there wasn't a lot going on, that cruises were cheap, that there wasn't any other conventions going on. Sure, it's close to Christmas, but it's not like the week before Christmas or anything, so it is what it is. I know not everyone can make it at that time, but it's a time that we picked, and hopefully it will be fun for people who go. Is there any movement on the Dice Tower Con waiting list? I'm sure there's movement on it, but I'm sure it's also not very fast movement. Sorry. Did I catch up on questions? I did. Do you think they will make an app for Imperial Assault like the new Descent app? I guess that will determine as to how well the Descent app does. Also, I'm going to guess maybe not as quickly because with Imperial Assault is a licensed product, and so they have to check everything through Lucas or Disney, I'm sorry, to do that. And so they might not approve something that's on an app while they can approve the board game. So I would guess it would be more difficult. While Descent, they completely own the property for. When should I have a donation for the Jack Vasel auction ready? There's 2 auctions. There's one at the Dice Tower Con in July. And then we have a online auction that is in October of each year. What do you think about Last Friday coming out from Ares? I hope it's good. It sounds a lot of fun. That is a game where one person is the serial killer from a movie trying to get everybody. It's a unique, interesting theme. What's my opinion of Stronghold 2nd Edition? Very good. We should have a full review of that in the next month or so. And I think we are going to end there. So I think, what I got, 20 minutes overtime? I think that's reasonable. Okay, folks. Once again, I said it in Board Game Breakfast, but I'll follow up on that. We're still working the kinks out of our microphone system. Hopefully we'll get better at it. Hopefully, like, for example, right now I think it's okay. We're working on it with my reviews that I've been putting out over the past couple of days. Derek is helping me out a lot. Derek was not with us at Cool Mini or Not. The audio there was not great. However, we pulled the final video, and we've worked on the audio there, trying to fix it to some degree, so that will be posted again tomorrow. So you'll be able to go watch that Cool Mini or Not live streaming, hopefully with better audio. So we're going to do our best to get that fixed. We're going to do our best to... we're always trying to improve the show to some degree. Hopefully you have seen improvements as time has gone by. But either way, I do appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate the questions. I know that it's infuriating when your questions don't get answered, and I don't mean to do that. It's just that not every question can be answered, or I can't answer that without irritating somebody or what have you. There's just different reasons that different things don't get answered, and I apologize for that. However, you never know. I might answer it next week. So anyhow, until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. This has been Live Q&A, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.